Illegal connection taking place in our homes is a major factor of fire outbreak. Prolonged using of appliance is a major factor of fire outbreak. So Mr. Fire service. Oja, charging of phones and other gadgets overnight. Oja, improper disposal of cigarettes after smoking. Oja, putting candles and coals on the wooden table. Oja, fire engines no yati yasiye. Yenga wai wala he. Yamama yuko ne jumapa muye. For protecting our properties. Fire service for nyina yedamasi. Take word fire service mabomodim pass a baby shina ya from amunya ya azan enti asidan ko mamunyina if it's a move fire prevention campaign fire service for nyina me mama mo adigato youth preacher Ukrani yobishi omuyi laita woman eba no sasua ebepeja ko sanjo eyoshin odogba ekoni overloading of sockets so eyebia saniwale akewa be fakra no your fame mna minke fire service in twanya yafi kenha adesa wala so Mr. Fire service Oja, charging of phones and other gadgets overnight. Oja, improper disposal of cigarettes after smoking. Oja, putting candles and coals on the wooden table. Oja. Yeah man, I'm urging all Ghanaians to be very careful. Because fire kills and destroys, especially farmers, palm wine tappers, fishmongers, hunters, market women, top bar operators. These are the preventive measures, brother and sister, you must remember. These are the preventive measures, mother and father, you have to remember. Yeah man, create a fire belt by weeding around your homes and factories. Cylinders should be placed outside your kitchen if possible. Keep fire hydrants, fire extinguishers, fire alarm, etc. in a reliable working condition. Keep matches out of the reach of children. In case of fire outbreak, call the Fire Master Control Room on these numbers: 030-277-2446, 0299-340883. Firefighting is free, my fellow Ghanaians, please note that, yeah. National Headquarters, 030-277-2446. And for further information, call 0278-748177. In case of emergency, call 192. Mr. Fire service. Oja, charging of phones and other gadgets overnight. Oja, improper disposal of cigarettes after smoking. Oja, putting candles and coals on the wooden table. Oja.
Hello, good morning, cherished viewers. Once again, you are welcome to the Safety Matters series. I will be your host today. My name is Michael Walter Ni Okain, and I'm a station officer 1 with the Public Relations Department. I'm sitting in for ADO 1, Joan Ajay, now Joan Ajay Jamesi, because she got married over the weekend. Joan, wherever you are, I know you are having your honeymoon, and then we want to say congratulations. Make sure you come back quickly to come and take up your seat. We are once again coming to your respective houses with our fire safety series. And you bear with me. We've had 2 sections already, and we have our directors available to walk us through today's series. But before I touch on that, as you can bear with me, those of you who know, we have a week-long celebration of the International Firefighters Day. Today happens to be the 2nd day. So I'll introduce my guests, and then I'll start with them as to the significance of this celebration, the Firefighters Day, and how it has been probably a couple of years back and how it is now, and what we are doing today, and how the general public can also patronize us. But before I introduce my guest for today, let's take a short break, and then we'll be back. Stay tuned.
Friends, Epictetus once upon a time said, "It is not what that has happened that matters, but the interpretations of what that we place on what has happened that matters." A lot of things happen to us. The world is throwing a lot of things to us. The question is, how are we dealing with all that the world throws at us? Others may decide to resort to destructive tendencies. Now, there's also sometimes you need to make decisions which way to go so that we can live life to the fullest. Friends, it is as a result of these things that happen to us in the world that I invite all of us to make time with your counselor on the program, Time with the Counselor, Reverend Diwotu Ike Ezwami, the Chaplain General of Ghana National Fire Service, on Fire Service TV for more insights into how to build resilience against the onslaughts of our time. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Studio B of the Ghana National Fire Service headquarters, where we have Fire Service TV. Let me go quickly and then introduce my resource people who would walk us through the journey today. In fact, from my immediate right is my own director, who needs no introduction because he's been with us for the previous 2 occasions and he's still here with us. I served under him. So I'm one of his products. He took us, groomed us, and made sure daily we were eating fire safety, drinking fire safety, sleeping fire safety, wearing fire safety. So it has become an integral part of us. Today, it is rather unfortunate I have to do the questioning where was he seated. He is no other person than DCFO retired, Kwame Kwatin.
Thank you very much.
And then from the far end, you can see another director with the safety department, and he is a deputy director of certification, fire safety. He's in the person of DO1 Michael Atu Kosa. Gentlemen, you are welcome. They say the officer is a gentleman.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, you are most welcome to this program.
Thank you.
In fact, if I'm to continue from where my sister left off last time, we have now talked about documents that ought to be submitted in order to obtain a fire certificate from the Ghana National Fire Service, be it the fire permit or the fire certificate. When the fire service as an organization, you receive these documents, what do you normally do with these documents? Can you please walk us through the processes by which certification is issued? If Director Safety can take that question first.
Thank you very much. I want to send my regards to all viewers and also take this opportunity to congratulate all firefighters across the country for their services they render selfless. They put out or put down their lives for others in an event of an emergency. I wish to commend them for the work they do. And so, to the question.
But you said, before you continue, in fact, I think I skipped this one. So, we are having a week-long celebration of the Firefighters Day, and I can see we are all cladded in the colors. What are we doing today? And how can the general public benefit from this Firefighters Day? What are we doing today? What is the program for today? Because I know yesterday, quite a number of people had floats and other things, and I'm reliably informed that we are having exhibition today from all the regions and districts and metropolitans and everywhere you find a fire station. How do I put it? Can the general public walk into the offices, and when they walk in, what are they to meet?
Yeah, it is not going to be different from what it has been done in the previous years. So we have had floats. You stated that there's going to be an exhibition, an open day for the public to walk in to acquaint and familiarize with the equipment we use and what we do, engage the firemen and to walk them through our responsibility and the duties we perform as fire officers. So that is what is going to happen. And there's going to be a day that would also engage the media and to also talk further about our functions and what we do. And we would also send safety people out there to visit public places and inspect there and offer educations and all that. So it's going to be packed and more interesting. Last year we had quiz competition with the school JHS pupils, and we hope to do similar, but it's going to be of a different dimension this time. Hopefully, we hope to have a very packed week celebration, an interesting one, of course.
During your time, how was this celebrated?
That's a good question. I must be honest and frank. This is an innovation that has come after we have left. I want to take this opportunity also to congratulate the fire service for bringing in this awareness for people to understand that there's a time called a safety week. So in that time, this is not, I must be honest, it's an innovation that has come into the service. I'm very, very grateful to management for bringing in this. And even the ribbon given to us, this is the first time seeing that there's a firefighter ribbon like that. So we thank you for the innovations that you have brought into the service.
Yes, we are working in your footpaths. So sir, why do we say a fireman is a hero?
I would always want to liken our profession to the priesthood. Where everybody is running, we are going in. Where everybody thinks it's over, we are going to save life. In a priesthood, they deal with a Holy Ghost fire. We deal with physical fire. And in the priesthood, they save people or souls from the hellfire. We save souls from physical fire. And at a point where a soul is perishing and everybody is running, we are facing. You know, fire is emotionless, and it's not like you have gone to war, and it's warlike. But the difference is that fire is emotionless, and irrespective of what is it's not anticipated. You can go and face something, and that could be your end. But then, notwithstanding, we go with bravery and go and save, because there's a life we are losing, and it's important we go there. That makes you a hero.
So what do we say to firemen who lost their lives during their firefighting?
I will leave it for my senior director. He has seen it all, so that he will take that from there.
Thank you. And it is not an easy job to be a firefighter. And I like the word you use as hero. Now, we all understand the 8 cardinal points, the gold step.
Exactly.
If you have all these qualities and you're on the fire ground, you would definitely end up becoming a hero. We have experienced few, I think somewhere around 1997, where we had one guy die in fire. That was when I saw the situation of a fireman losing his life. I was not on the fire ground, but the scene that was reported was so pathetic that we had to do a serious funeral service, organized it for the family and the children, and the service also took care of the wife and children after his death. We do not expect to go to fire ground and die, but as DD Safety has talked or explained, the difficult task. And when you are called to duty, even the prayer of the fireman tells you that before you move in or report at work, you have a duty and a commitment to fulfill. So the prayer should be very, very, everybody should say the prayer. And that when you go and come back, then you look at the prayer and say, yes, I'm a hero.
I believe by the close of today, we will be looking at what the fire service prayer or the fireman's prayer. But then in your submission, you mentioned gold step. I think these are the qualities of a fire officer. I know people will be wondering what is the meaning of a gold step. When you come to the fire service, the 8 cardinal points are the qualities of a fire officer. And we are saying the gold step is what? We are gallantry. We are very brave. We are gallant men. Fire officers are trained to be brave. We don't fear anything because we go head to head with fire. And then we are quick at noticing things. So we say what? We observe. So as part of our qualities is what? Observation. We are quick at noticing things. So even if we see smoke coming from your window, we look at the color of the smoke and we can tell what is burning within that room. And then we are also loyal in our dealings. Loyal in our dealings with people. We don't discriminate amongst people. We don't say we serve only the rich folks and then leave. No, but anywhere fire happens, when you call the fire service, we are quick to get there. And then we are dexterous. We are skilled in using our hands. We are dexterous. So what they say, dexterity. We are dexterous in using our hand. And then what? We have sympathy. We have sympathy for everyone. So anytime duty calls, the fireman, whether he's eating, whether he's sick, whether he's asleep, would wake up, run quickly, and then make sure the situation is arrested. And then we are very tactful in the handling of our duty. So those of you who have been chasing us and think we don't know what we are about, we are very, 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 very tactful when it comes to issues with fires, accidents, and other things. Most of you get to the accident scenes and you don't even know how to retrieve trapped people. So you end up killing them. But we are trained. We are so tactful. We are able to rescue people from mangled vehicles, and then we handle them to the ambulance service. And then what? We are explicit. We are very, very explicit when it comes to fires. And then what? We persevere. No matter the terrain, we persevere. So we have what we call what? Perseverance. So these are the gallant officers, or these are the fire officers, the qualities of a fire officer. So, sir, let's go back to the question I asked. I think we've been able to serve mankind with the duties of a fireman.
So, upon an application received from a proponent, you would be required to submit a drawing. The drawing could be a block plan, or others may choose to bring an engineering drawing, a street up, and based on the drawings would go and inspect. It is assumed that after you have submitted, or when submitting the drawing, you will have bought your form, either Form A or Form B. Form A is supposed to be an existing facility. It means that the building is there and you want to use for that purpose of which you want to apply the fire certificate. Or Form B, which is supposed to be a proposed facility. It is now that you want to put up and you are coming to apply for a certificate. Either way.
So in that sense, you submit drawings.
Which
of the drawings are we talking of? I think it was not a bit clear.
Yeah, block plan.
The block plan.
At times we may have to, depending on what you would use the premises for, we may have to request for the engineering. Well, you would have to also submit the structural design for us to know the details of the drawing, so that if there's any shortfalls, we'll be able to identify and correct them. But most importantly, what we will require is the block plan. At times, some will also bring the engineering drawing, because at the end of the day, an engineering drawing would be done, having extracted the design and known what it's going to do. Then you highlight the measures in the engineering drawing. Whichever way, we may have to, having received the drawings, we would have to go there and inspect, do an assessment to determine that if it is just a block plan, then we'd have to inspect the exposures, whether the location is compatible with other facilities, adjoining facilities. If, for example, if you want to have a gas filling station and it's located where there's a church premises, it's not compatible. And so it is important you go and find out yourself whether the exposures, whether they are compatible with what you are going to do. and having inspected, and we would do our reports, initial reports. That's what we call pre-inspection. We would do our initial reports. Then you are requested to, if it is not an engineering drawing, go and do your fire engineering drawing. This we have service providers who are registered either to offer consultancy or protection services. This one consultancy to have it, the drawing done for you. Then you resubmit for us to review to find out whether what you are doing, and the measures they are apt, all right, they are appropriate, whether it's adequate and it is good or okay for us to give you a certificate. Then we monitor, do re-inspection as you are. If it is a proposed, we do whether the measures put in the drawings is being incorporated in the building you are putting up, or if it's an existing building, what the recommendations made in the drawings are being implemented. Then a process is triggered, then a certificate is issued by the chief officer after the report and inspection has been okayed by an inspector.
Okay, so if I understand you, we are supposed to submit an installation proposal report. And that of what? A fire engineering drawing.
That's it.
That conforms to you. Okay, for those of you who are watching us, you can also go to our social media handles, especially on Facebook and then YouTube. On Facebook, you can contact us on GNFS Official. GNFS Official. This is being streamed live. You can contact us on GNFS Official. When we get to the last segment, we will open phone lines for you to call in. Mr. Martin, if I may ask, when they go to for the inspection, when the review teams go for the inspection, or the inspection team goes for the inspection, what exactly do they look out for?
Thank you for this question. I think I have to add one or two to what DD Safety talked about. The requirements that you need to submit to the drawings and application forms are all in the LI. The drawings that refer in the LI is talking about architectural, electrical, mechanical, engineering, and including the site plan that he talked about. So this will be received and then submitted to a team of fire inspectors who have the eye and appreciation of drawing in terms of fire safety. They will sit down, look at the drawing, and see where it is necessary for any extra information to be required. We decide to invite the client that they have to go to site, because you cannot work on a project where you do not know where it's going to happen. That is where he talked about the exposure. So you go and look at the facility and look at the area. If it's a church close to a filling station and there's the need for EPA to do any public hearing to confirm, or if the zoning status of the area requires that the properties or the owners can coexist, then you will offer your technical advice in relation to fire safety measures. So in case the fire should start from here, will it spread and destroy all the... So these are the team of fire inspectors who have the eye and have been trained and certified and tagged as fire inspectors who do that job. Then they will make the recommendation on the form advising or informing the chief officer that the satisfactory means of escape, the satisfactory firefighting, the satisfactory or adequate firefighting equipment, and therefore I recommend that the person is issued with a fire permit when it's to be constructed, or a fire certificate when the project is finished and everything is in place. So the chief officer or whoever signs the fire certificate is taking the word of the inspector. So the inspectors are very, very critical, and what they say and what they write is what the chief officer goes about. So that is how the process. But you asked the question relating to
what exactly they look out for.
The lookout is how does the fire service get there? So accessibility is very, very critical.
Exactly.
So the means of transport to the place, the facilities there. The next one you look at is when there's a fire outbreak, how am I going to get fire to do the firefighting? So you look around, if there's a river or a pond or or a swimming pool within the facility.
Source of water.
Then you also look at how far is this facility from the fire service. That is very, 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 very critical. You decide to go and put up a factory which is almost about 100 kilometers away from the fire service. And in case of fire, you have to call the fire service to do it. Then we'll have to advise you that it is necessary you have a firefighting team, or maybe a portable firefighting engine. So in case of fire, you can handle it before the fire service gets there. So we look at all those things and see whether your facility can be protected without assistance of fire service being present immediate time of the fire, or the fire service can call him. For instance, if you are just at the police headquarters here and there's a fire outbreak, definitely the fire service will get there within a minute. So you know what things. But what alternative source of water for firefighting is critical. Access to the place is very critical. And then the first aid facility you have provided in the building to dose the fire before the actual firefighters come in. We come to support, but you must be the responsible person to take care of the initial fire before the fire service comes.
When you look at some of these measures, they talk about early detection and warning systems, yes, as well as firefighting equipment, yes, and then what adequacy of what
means of escape.
Okay. Can you walk us through those ones?
Yes. When you talk about fire alarm system, there are warning devices that are installed in your house that tells you there's a fire or smoke within the building. So for instance, you have an apartment, then you have a detector in the room. So if any fire should start in the room, the fire alarm will pick it, will sound it, and then you know that there's some problem in the room. That is the alarm and warning system. Then the first aid firefighting is that the fire extinguishers, which fires they start very, very small, not big like boom. No, very small. So when the detector tells you, you go in there and look for the seat of the fire and use the extinguisher to put the fire off. Now, the means of escape we are talking about is the normal doors and staircases that will lead you out of the building or into the building. But unfortunately for those of us in this part of the world, we prefer to block and put a lot of barrier constructions behind our windows. Windows are not means of escape, but when it comes necessary, you have to use it. But they are not the main. The main ones are the door, the corridor, and staircase to get out of the building. That is what is allowed. Even lift in high rises are not accepted as means of escape. But here, most people want to put trap doors, put a burglar proof behind. Because if you are in a window,
I think that is why we are advising against the barricaded burglar proofs. We are going to what? Collapsible burglar proofs. Yes.
Very good. If it's collapsible. But you, the person who wants to have his security, because the person's home, to me, is his own private entity. But he needs your service. So you have to sit down. There are alternatives. Collapsible one, fine. If there's a way you can release the spring, the burglar proof to fall when there's a fire, the person can come out. This must be discussed because technology and innovations are always available. So discuss with the owner, and then he agrees to what he wants to, as a means of safety in case of fire. That's good.
Dio Atukosa, most of these structures we have in Ghana that were constructed before 2003 when the LI 1724 was passed, most of them have only one exit way, which has become a problem. I had some videos. It's rather unfortunate we can't show them now. When the main exit way was blocked, people had to resort to the windows and they were jumping from heights. We lost quite a number of people. I know as part of this fire safety measure is to ensure that every building must have an alternative exit. So in your quest to issue fire certificates, do you reach out for some of these alternative exits?
Yes, thank you for the question. We do, and it's quite challenging because most of these officers and the businesses are occupying the rented premises, and when they submit the application, they also have to seek the consent of the landlord to be able to alter the design, original design, and all that. But that notwithstanding, we make sure, because it's required by law, to ensure that those things are done, are met with the regulation required before those that are having challenges and problems. We give them time before you occupy, we ensure, but we make sure we engage the landlord to explain and know that if you are willing to give out your building for rent, then it is important that they meet the law or the required standard as prescribed in the law. So those that, in a country like that, and there are always people who want to dodge the process, and thank God we have a task force out there who are going around to ensure that most of the businesses occupying buildings that have not been certified, we make sure they certify them.
Viewers, we would like to take a short water so we can continue from there.
Welcome to the Ghana National Fire Service TV, simply called the Fire Service TV. This channel is coming up to fill a gap in the Ghanaian television industry. The Ghana National Fire Service was established to prevent and manage undesired fires. And as part of that mandate, we are to conduct public fire safety education. Now, as an institution that was established to provide fire safety education, there is the need to have a channel through which this education will be propagated to the people of this good country, Ghana. This station is being established as alternative to other security channels that deal specifically on security issues. This channel will therefore focus on the safety of the generality of the people of Ghana. This station is therefore going to show the people of Ghana what to do and what not to do in order to have a safe country for all of us. Safety is very practical in nature, and therefore short videos and clips are going to be shown on this particular channel, the Fire Service TV, to the people of Ghana, so that everything we do will be practicalized. You can sit comfortably in your home, watch this channel, and practice it so that we'll be safe in this country. Therefore, I urge all of you Ghanaians to tune into this channel every day of your life so that we'll all be safe in our country, Ghana. Thank you very much.
Well, you are welcome to Safety Matters as we continue with our guests here. We are moving into another area concerning the fire certification. But before then, let me take some few messages from Facebook. Princess Swansea says what? Every firefighter is a hero. Kudos to the PR and media for such an educative program. Yes, I think most of you are asking if when will the forms be out. As and when we are ready, we would let you know. Yes, so let's go to Mr. Kwatin. Mr. Kwatin, when they say adequate fire safety measures, when they say adequate fire safety measures, what do we mean by adequate fire safety measures?
It's a good question, but very generic. Adequate could be subjective or objective. What do you mean by adequate? If you have a number of people in a particular room, that would determine the number of exits or doors that you should have. And all these things has calculations and something we call density factor, which has been determined that in an office of this size of an area, this number of people must be in that particular room. So if we have an auditorium of a certain size, then this number of people must be in the room. And then when there's an outbreak of fire, not only or any system, sometimes you can be in a place of worship and you can be attacked by bees. And then everybody will have to fight. It's not fire, but it's a related that is disaster, and therefore people must get out. So how do you do this? The number of doors and the positions of the doors is very, very critical. And these all have scientific base and calculations which are done by the architects. That is their job. But you, the fire officer, will have to review the drawing and see that if this person that is at this corner of the room and he has to use this exit, how many steps does he has to, and if he has to cross some obstacles. So all these things, even when you are bringing the drawings for an auditorium, you must show us on the drawing sitting arrangements, spacing. If it's a stadium, how many people have to be in a room, what else might be in between them for them to get that. These are what we mean by satisfactory or adequate means of escape. Travel distance. You don't need to travel so many distance before you meet a stairway or a door to get out of the building. So these are the things. So what we have to do or maybe improve on as a guide is the fire service having the fire code. I think we have it. The fire code will tell that if you have a room of this size, this number of adequate doors or exits must be provided, and that becomes a standard. Ghana people will want to build, but they want to have their own standard of doors with size and distance. Even some of the staircase that you see in some buildings is a narrow one. It shouldn't be like that. At least two people should be able to use it, one up and one down. But here you have to squeeze. It's very, very critical as you talk about the external alternative means of escape for external distance. It's a very critical issue.
So if I understand, I think what you just talked about is what? A complete risk assessment on buildings that determines the size of doors, the number of doors, the exit ways, and then as well as staircase, the size, how it should be. All should be dependent on the density or the number of people that resides in a particular building.
Yes.
That is good. That is good. Sir, do most structures in Ghana, do they conform to these standards?
Yes, no.
And then to add to it, I know your outlets, you normally conduct risk assessments. When you go out to conduct these risk assessments and you meet such things, people who fall short, how do you handle them?
Let me ask the first question. Yes, no, because yes, because there are so many premises which are also audited or assessed by international standards, complementing what we do.
And then, sir, not to catch you, when it comes to international standards, I know the fire service, Ghana, were colonized by Britain. So we conform to the British standards.
British standards.
You go to some places and then they also tell you about different standards. I don't want to mention. I've seen standards of the United States, I've seen standards of Germany, but they don't meet the Ghanaian standards. But this is a typical man who has stayed all his life in the US and wants to conform to the US standard. How do you handle that?
That is not acceptable. That's why I said that they are also assessed by international bodies, complementing. All right, we have our standards, but the line between is not that wide. But we make sure and ensure that we use the Ghana standards, whatever. And because of that, they are very apt when it comes to safety matters. But I always say that safety is intangible. All right, it has to do with after you have provided the physical things my boss talked about. That has to do with the exit, that has to do with extinguishers, that has to do with alarm. Safety is supposed to be a lifestyle. So you may have all that supposed to be installed on the facility. And if the person's mentality, all right, as in respect of safety, it's the opposite. It doesn't work. So we are saying that apart from those things my boss talked about, it's important that you have a mentality of safety. Make sure that your mind is safety. You may have the extinguisher there, but your ability to ensure that those extinguishers are examined every day, your ability to ensure that if the fire starts, you'll be able to carry it and use it, your ability to ensure that when fire breaks out, you'll be able to follow the contingency plan, evacuation plan, and procedures and all that is another matter. So there are facilities.
Not to cut you, my boss, but those of you who would like to join us by phone, you can dial 0509 608744. Let me take that again. 0509 608744. And please, when you call us, make your questions very precise and concise. Go straight to the point. Don't try explaining anything. We have our resource people here who would answer your question for you. And then please, when you call, give us your name and where you are calling from. And also make sure your TV set is low so that we don't get the feedback. When we get the feedback, it's likely we'll take you off because it gives us a lot of nuisance. So you can call us once again on 0509 608744. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so those that are affiliated and are assessed by international bodies, we go there and make sure they are in line. For example, you go and you find hydrants being constructed or installed, and the coupling is not marrying to our coupling, which is hermaphrodite and instantaneous. That will make sure we use instantaneous coupling. We'll make sure you change it to conform to our standards. So that we do. So those who are affiliated to, make sure we flip them to line. But those who are adamant and are reluctant to ensure that they implement or conform to safety standards, that's the reason why we have put the task force out there to make sure that we enforce the law. That one would give you 2 weeks or 3 weeks ultimatum and have you invited to find out why you are reluctant to conform to the standards. And if we don't do that, then other actions will follow. Either closure after we have.
Sir, he just talked about closure.
You see, to be frank, it's critical that we need to let the people conform. Our foreclosure is something that we have not, and we shouldn't be thinking about, because closing people's business now will not be the best for the fire service. They are our friends, and we need to. What we have to do is that there are standards. We have the Ghana Standard Authority that has come out with a building code and the things that must be followed. We have the National Building Code, which is also available. Now the fire service also have the Ghana Fire Code. I stand for correction. That is what would guide the people. The people must be provided with the information, and that information is what they are following. For instance, you have a task force. who goes around, and then they find out you don't have this, you don't have this, and they also ask the question, where is the code or the standard that I have to use to have that facility?
So let me put you on
yes, I understand. I understand. I understand where.
So the law has been in existence for the past 21 good years.
Yes,
and it has always been we're sensitizing and sensitizing and sensitizing. I know under your regime, once there was a task force.
Yes,
we went out. And
yes,
I remember very well. It was even on television. The firemen went to the to the premises and they were denied entrance.
Yes, I remember. You are talking about.
David, before you come in, I
remember.
Before you come in, the issue regarding closure. All right, let me give an example so that we talk on a correct premise. Recently, there was a report made by a facility that somebody has in stock ammonium nitrate.
Yeah.
And others have gone there, other regulators have gone there and think that it is safe. And so they reported to Petroleum Commission and they needed to call a third party mandated by law to do that. When we found out that the volumes there are very dangerous, and so we had to engage the owner of the facility and we gave him alternatives. Either reduce the stock, do this, do that, or we close you down. You understand? These are the, after considering the cost and benefit analysis, yes. So closure, we don't just close down, but when it's become critical and yes. we think that the end thereof, the disaster would have a very daring effect on the economy, the country and all that, that one we have no option.
You see, I understand. You see, the law makes provision that where the chief officer suspects or sees that the risk there is high. He has the option to give you a notice to reduce the risk as minimum as possible, and then go further to close the place when you don't have. But then he will be served with a notice of inadequacy or high risk, and then the person will resolve the issue.
Yeah.
Yes. So you can suspend the operations for the place.
For the place, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
But not the seizure closure. That's what I'm trying to.
Yeah. Semantics.
Yes. That's what I'm trying to be. Very in a liberal economy,
yes.
and the system must be that the fire service will come and say, I'll close the place, I'll close the place. Less, because the law makes room for you to have a means of reducing it. As you said earlier, you have 2 or 3 days. Please evacuate this place. Let the place become used for you too. He will definitely do it. But if he's not doing it, then you require assistance from the police to aid you there to carry on the necessary procedure. Yes, because there are offenses in the act, in the LI that he has to go through.
Yes, so because I have a follow-up question, I want you to tell me who qualifies to enter a particular premises to go and then inspect the premises.
You see, the law is saying that a fire inspector tagged by the chief fire officer or his representatives to go into a premises at a reasonable time to conduct certain service. The first one, to inspect fire certificate, and second one, to make sure that means of escape or firefighting facilities are satisfactory on the premises. And then he has to identify himself that he has come as an inspector and show his card to the occupant that he can do that. Anybody who obstructs this person from doing that causes, willfully or whatever it is, causes it's an offense, and it has to be reported. If you think he will be obstructed and he will not be allowed, he has the option to go to the police station for a police officer to accompany him to go and perform his duty. So he's an inspector. That is anything that recommendation that comes, even if it's a court case, is the inspector tagged, which because you are an inspector. I had been an inspector. Every inspector has his number, his picture on it, and that is what you use to identify yourself. If you don't have that one, and you are sent by the regional commander or the director of safety, it means you are using his tag as a responsibility to answer any questions. And anything, the buck stops with the inspector who sent you or who asked you to do that particular job.
Recently, we had a challenge, I think about a year or two ago, somewhere in the Bunu region, where an inspector was slapped by a foreigner who owns a restaurant in that area. So that brings me back. I know during your era, you did everything possible for fire service to have prosecutors.
Yes.
Where we have the prosecutors course. I'm asking this question because somewhere last month, a luminary friend of mine, a legal luminary friend of mine who is somewhere in Nkoko, called and wanted to know if we have charge sheets and how we handle those issues. So with this era where firemen are being attacked left, right, center, forward, what happened to that prosecutors course?
Yes.
And what is the state of it today, sir?
As a matter of fact, as at the time I left, we had not trained. We had the training, but we didn't tag or prepare people for prosecution because we needed an executive instrument before we could do as what the Senate and the other institutions.
I know very well it was one legacy you wanted to leave the past.
Yes,
who shut it down, sir?
Nobody shut it down. It's continued. It's going to be continued. You see, fire safety in fire service is a continuity. Definitely, I couldn't finish everything. So I know my predecessors, those are behind. I'm going to carry it on and
so
make sure that we have
to
that
add, this one thing he did that has encouraged me and brought me to this level, because I at times he would call me behind the scenes and say, Kosa, calm down. Calm, because I was so on fire.
Okay.
Let me say that recently I met with the director Ghana Law School, and we...
Hello? Is there any caller on the line? Hello?
Hello, yeah, morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Yeah, I believe that your program is very interesting. But I went to Accra Fasting.
Please give us your name and your location.
I'm coming from Accra.
And your name?
Accra.
Is it a contribution or a question?
It's a question.
So please go ahead and ask the question.
I'm asking to acquire fire certificate. How many days, how many months, how many years for you to get a fire certificate?
Okay, thank you.
And secondly, hello.
Yes, go ahead.
And of course, I'm trying to put your people. They normally charge heavy.
People charge what?
They're charging.
The charging.
Of the charging.
Okay, all right, thank you.
It can be moderate for the public, so the public will know how.
Oh, okay.
When you have the premises, whether hotel, whether...
I think you've established your point, so we'll handle it for you.
Okay.
Thank you for the question you asked. There's a fees and charges, and every fee goes with application form you buy, you pay processing fee, and then the floor area is by a formula which has been determined by the Parliamentary Committee on Fees and Charges, and it's there. So you look at it and calculate based on that, and you add the drawings to it. So you can even walk into the fire service head office or the safety department and ask for how the calculation is done, and they will do it for you. So there's no cheat. It's by law. It's not out of their own evolution or saying any fee at their own cost. There's a rule to it. So please come. They are not cheating you.
So what it means is that the size of your building will determine how much you pay. Yes, exactly.
And the first question was about...
the first question...
the days.
The days. How long does it take for
the
certificate to be issued?
If you bring your documents, as far as I was concerned, those times, it doesn't take more than 2 weeks to get your fire certificate. But if you don't submit it through the appropriate channel, and you are told that come on this date or within this period, report at your regional or district office for your fire certificate, and you go and give it to anybody you think is wearing a fire uniform and he can get you the certificate and he keeps log, then that is your own. But just go to the safety office or the director or the boss. I've presented my documents. When should I come for it? You give a time period, because the certificates are issued from headquarters in Accra. The fire permits are issued at the regional headquarters. So when these documents come to headquarters here, the review team will cross-check what has been done in the region and be satisfied before they give it to the director to sign it. So within 2 weeks, all things being equal, within Accra you have it. But if he has to travel from the regions and come here, depending on when it was dispatched from the region, that will determine. So I shouldn't take more than 1 month for you to get your fire certificate.
I know mostly it is from the regional level that the challenges come from.
Oh, okay.
I know sometimes they have to put them together before, because they can't be sending them individually.
Okay.
So these are some of the challenges.
Okay, so that is administrative challenges. Yes.
Not necessarily delayance of
the headquarters.
So what you mentioned earlier is very critical. They want to apply and they see any fire officer and hand over the documents to him. So we'll advise that if you want to apply, please go to the nearest fire station, see the district municipal or the regional commander, and apply through him, or walk to the headquarters if you are intended to be.
So when the fire certificate is issued, what next?
The certificate to certify that your place is safe for use by members of the public in terms of fire, in terms of escape, and in terms of detection system. And that is why the certificate had been issued to you. And it is your responsibility to display this certificate to show that my place is certified by fire service. That is it. Failure to display this certificate is an offense. Then you must do it.
So, sir, let me do a follow-up question, but that one goes to DO concern. DO, mostly people use it as requirements. So once they meet the requirements, that is where it ends. When you look at the fire safety department, I think we have inspectorate, education, and then certification.
And training.
And yes, so if these people acquire the certificate, is it mandatory that their personnel or their staff, whatever be the occupation, are trained as to how to handle these fire safety gadgets or equipment when the need arises, so that they don't serve as white elephants?
Yes, it is mandatory that after you have acquired, it's a package, come with a package. After you have acquired and installed all that is required to be installed, it is important that the cross-section of staff are trained on how to use fire extinguishers, and most importantly, to be familiar with the sound of the alarm, the alarm that is raised when there's an emergency, for them to understand that this alarm is telling me to evacuate, and where to. All these things must be known by them. Apart from that, there's supposed to be selected few who will be giving a comprehensive training to be served as fire wardens. They are to ensure that they do a daily safety assessments, if possible, to ensure that the fire extinguishers are serviceable, the alarm systems are active and working very well, and if there are defects, you write a report and inform the managers of the facility. This is what is supposed to be done. In the market, that is why we are very serious about having fire wardens in the market, so that the frequent fire we are experiencing in the market would be reduced or minimized. What would they do? You know, markets is where people trade, do business and all that, and they have to eat. The tendency and the likelihood of people having cooking and all that are there. If they are doing it, how can we manage it? How can we advise them? How can we constantly be on them to ensure that even if they are bringing or they are cooking, the fire they would use are managed very well, so that it doesn't cause any fire. So training is key. After you have acquired a certificate, you make sure that the cross-section are trained, and more so the selected few are given comprehensive training to ensure that they ensure and enforce standards, so that people don't violate it and cause fire.
Okay, he has answered it very well. The training is critical, because the law says that the fire inspector or whoever goes there must ensure that the people living or working there have received adequate training. So in issuing the fire certificate, we add this book. We add a logbook. The logbook has a place for training. He talked about tagging. It has a place for alarm systems, firefighting equipment. So whoever the service provider or whoever does those things will put and sign. So as an inspector, you go there, you want to find whether the people have received training. You ask for the logbook, which goes with the certificate. Then you look at, on this date, so and so person trained these officers or group of people. We even went further. Certificate of participation, as he said, after the training, those that have been trained will be provided with certificates of which a fee is attached in the law, which they have to pay for it. Apart from that, after the training, even an induction training is very, very critical. If you employ somebody for the first time, when he comes, you must walk the person through means of escape, as well as tell him this word extinguisher and this is how it is used, and the person is aware that in case of fire and alarm sound, this is what I have to do. They are all recorded in the logbook. So if there's any fire or an outbreak or anybody should lose his life, and the fire service or the investigation team gets hold of the logbook, they will know whether your alarm system is faulty or operational, or this particular hydrant here is not working. All those recordings will be in the logbook. So it's the evidence and the source of document for the fire investigators to use to find out whether the system was working or active. Because the fire certificate has been issued to you, but the one who issued to you does not live on the premises. It depends on the documents and information you have provided. That's why he issued the certificate to you. So if you don't comply with the recordings in the logbook, that it means the suspect, you are hiding something from the fire service. So as he has explained, they must ensure that you know what to do in case of fire and using the fire extinguisher on how to behave in case of fire. That's important.
Dio Kosa, being Deputy Director certification, a bird just whispered to me that lately we don't get the logbook attached to
sure.
the fire certificate.
They have. The issue.
We issue.
They issue it.
We issue it.
Go and check. They issue it because the letter that, excuse me to cut it, the letter that accompanies the fire certificate.
That is the administrative letter.
Yeah, mentions that attach. So definitely they will attach the logbook. Definitely. So maybe the bird is not telling the truth.
Yes, maybe we'll have to relook at that. In fact, that is how long. That is how far time will permit us. I think we've almost done an hour plus.
Yes.
But then before my resource people leave, we can't just let them go like that. Dio Kosa, what do you have for us? As for the deputy, I have a question. I have a question waiting with me. So what would you say for people who want to get to the fire service, apply for their certification, who are going through a lot of problems and other things? What do you say?
Already we have a line. Normally people call the FMC and other regional commands to ask questions when they are facing or they are faced with challenges, and so I would encourage them to do same. Anyone who has an issue or has a problem must call the regional headquarters or the national headquarters or safety directorate or safety units at the respective regions for that question to be answered. And very soon we would automate the process. We have started selling the forms on Ghana.gov, and would gradually migrate. But before we do that, we would use your medium to educate the people as to the procedure they have to follow to get their application applied or processed on the online. And I would say that, like my boss said, 2 weeks your certificate must be issued, haven't applied. And so in that process, if there are challenges, find out. At times, when it's coming from the region, administratively, they would want to gather few before they bring the bulk. And so, if you have applied and it has delayed, please contact the directorate or the region to find out why it is delaying. And my advice to the public is that don't see any fireman on the street, don't see any fireman anywhere and say, help me process my fire certificate, but rather come to the right source. Because I always jokingly say that this is not all police officers who belong to the MTTD. There are specialized people trained to handle those situations. So on that note, I wish the public all the best and fire-free Ghana.
Mr. Kwatin, I think you take the final question. You started something that I touched on. I know this is a series and it's unfolding. We'll be going strictly the legal area. But today, I want you to tell me, since most of you, the retired officers, now serve as consultants, what I want to tell you now is most firemen are being attacked at the fire scene. how do we move from where we are to get prosecutors and other things? Because most of our issues I know are being handled by the police. I don't know what you saw years back. I don't know what you saw years back, but you came up with this prosecutors course. A lot of the people are in the system. I think we have a lot of people too who can be recruited, so that we can bring back these fire prosecutors, in order that when there is a problem, the fire service as an institution would handle their own prosecution. Please kindly walk us through something.
It's not a difficult thing to have fire prosecutors. All you need is to have an executive instrument from the presidency, and then like what SNIT and other institutions that the GRA and the rest are all doing, you can go. You have to train. I think the legal department also, unfortunately you lost your legal officer, but the legal department will have to sit down, go to the AG's office, talk to them about it, that you want to have this process, and they will take you through and you can have it. It's good if you are doing your own prosecution, because carrying on evidence from one end to the other, as it goes further, the evidence gets lost, because you are the inspector who goes to see the thing, and this is the fault you've seen, and then it gets to how do you convey this evidence from one point to prove at the court that this person had violated this thing. These are technical issues which is not easy to handle. That is why we have been on the quiet for the police to assist if the need be. But you have to get people to train, to understand how to present the prosecution case. It's not an easy thing. Charging somebody and then have to go and defend, and the person has a good lawyer to tell you all kinds of things. So it is not too late, please. The fact that we are off the system or we have retired does not mean that we do not understand. So go back to the legal AG's office. They are the government advisors on this thing to advise you what the procedures to use. I remember when D.O. Kosa was in Koforidua, they had an arrangement with the, what they call it. I think you can explain better. So if you take this opportunity and explain how you were doing it.
We had an arrangement with the police and the various courts, and we have them processed. Haven't served them notices, like you said earlier, and giving them ultimatums. And if they refuse, then we hand over to the police. We arrest them, or we go to the courts. They summon them. They come and defend, and with the assistance of the police. But going forward, I think that we are picking inspiration from what he started. We have had several meetings with the law school, and yes, and we met with the director.
He was the head of criminal.
So there's something in the pipeline.
There's something in the pipeline.
Okay, viewers,
this
is how far time will permit us.
And then he will pick it up. And then
I just want to thank my resource people, although it was a very short notice, for making it today. And for those of you who joined us through Facebook, it's rather unfortunate I can't read the other messages. Forgive me. Next week I'll do so. Those who joined online, those who watched everywhere, we thank you for being with us. Until next week, we say bye.
Please, good morning. Maybe I'll help you. No, now I go shower when the family on your back. It's a fire campaign going on. Too much fire outbreaks in our town. Brother, sister, if you wanna live so long, open up your ears and listen as we preach on. A son of fire service, ready for you. Ejeming Kabuniwara. Atashi Anofo, Juani Yodok Banko, Choko Pepe Sewara. Kanya Kaya Tema Abo, Good Friday, Benia de Sanchoa. Tama Newtown Circle, Lord, I ain't quit the Cleminaka de Sangana. Kumasi Central Market at Tommy Junction, Wajan Nankoni Munina Mutua. Tema Central Medical Source Yakoni, one day a sample Yabako. Ashima Young Woman Gadanula, Shami Danula, Shiama, Julaga. Illegal connection takes place in our homes. It's a major factor of fire outbreak. Prolonged use of appliance. It's a major factor of fire outbreak. So Mr. Fire service. Oja, Oja. Charge of phones and other gadgets overnight. Oja, Oja. Improper disposal of cigarettes after smoking. Oja, putting candles and calls on the wooden tail. Oja, Oja. Fire engines no yati yasiye. Yenga wai wala he. Ya mama you go to my pamuye. For protecting our property. Fire service for Nina Yadamasi. Click wow. Fire service mabomodim pass baby shina ya from amunya ya azam penti. Asidan koma munyina. If it's a move fire prevention campaign. Fire service for Nina.